This is part 3 of week 1, mindfulness of the body. In Buddhist psychology, nearly every traditional presentation of mindfulness begins with mindfulness of the body. But why is that? First, this kind of practice brings the body and mind together in the present moment. Mindfulness of the body, bringing our attention back to the sensations in the body, brings our mind into this moment. Most of us spend our lives with our minds lost in regrets about the past or worries about the future. We fantasize about having a different life, or we scheme and obsess about our projects. And when we do this, we are completely unaware of the miracles of life that are within us and around us in each moment. We've lost touch with the beauty of being alive and the conditions for happiness that are already here. We are missing out on so much of what life has to offer. The practice of mindfulness of the body is an important starting place as we begin to bring our mind back in touch with the present moment. Now, I want to be clear that mindfulness and present moment awareness do not mean that we aren't supposed to think about the past or future, because that would be impossible. In the sutra on knowing the better way to live alone, the Buddha warns us not to pursue the past or lose ourselves in the future. He explains what he means by pursuing the past and losing ourselves in the future. He says that when you think about the past and you are burdened by or attached to these thoughts, you're lost in them. For example, if you're thinking about an argument you had with a coworker and you're completely lost in those thoughts, you don't realize that the argument ended hours ago because in your mind, it's still going on. The Buddha says that not pursuing the past or losing yourself in the future means that when you think about the past or future, you aren't burdened by or lost in those thoughts or attached to them. If you're thinking about that argument, you're aware that you're sitting here in this moment thinking about an argument from the past. It isn't happening anymore, and you know that. However, you're thinking about it so you can learn from it. You're not lost in it, not emotionally re-experiencing it. You know you're in a safe, quiet place, and that you're thinking about the past. So the problem with the way that we habitually think about the past and future is that we don't realize what we're doing. The real problem is that we're dissociated from the present moment, lost in those thoughts. Now, simple mindfulness of the body can prevent this from happening. If I'm aware of the sensations in my body in this moment, that is like an anchor that can keep me from completely losing touch with the present. The physical sensations in my body are happening right now. And if I can remain aware of them, I can't entirely lose touch with this moment. Now, in Buddhist discourses, we don't just say mindfulness of the body, we actually say mindfulness of the body in the body. But what does that mean? Now, it just means that we aren't merely noticing that there's a body here. Instead, we're feeling the sensations in the body from within. We're feeling them. Mindfulness of the body often begins with mindful breathing. As I breathe in, I'm aware that I'm breathing in. As I breathe out, I'm aware that I'm breathing out. My awareness follows the sensation of my entire in-breath and out-breath. Aware of each breath, my mind is in touch with the body in the present moment. But we know that the words the Buddha used to talk about the breath did not just mean the circulation of air through the body. The Pali word pana which is prana in Sanskrit, is actually very similar to the word for breath in Latin, spiritus, which means both breath and spirit. In these ancient Indian languages and in Latin, breath is not just air, it's also the energy of life. When the Buddha was instructing his students to fix their awareness on pana or prana, he was saying to feel the energy of life within you as you breathe. Thich Nhat Hanh's book about the Sutra on Mindful Breathing is actually titled, Breathe, You're Alive. It is a meditation on feeling alive in this moment, just as much as it is about feeling air moving in and out of you. We'll go into a lot more detail about mindful breathing later in this training, and you'll have lots of opportunities to experiment with different forms of mindful breathing. As our practice expands from breathing to include the rest of the sensations in the body, there are many different forms of meditation we can learn. Expanding your awareness to all of the sensations in your body, right in this moment. See if you can allow yourself to feel every sensation that arises. Any tension, relaxation, any heaviness or lightness. Just let yourself feel it all without trying to change it. Now, with your awareness open to all of these sensations, there are a few different kinds of practices we can explore. We can just witness these sensations and stay completely open. Or we can practice labeling sensations. There's tension in my shoulders, there's warmth in my heart. In labeling, we still practice complete acceptance. We're just putting words to what we notice. The traditional analogy is the way a farmer looks at a bunch of different seeds and labels a corn seed, labels a pumpkin seed. We call things what they are. Another practice is specifically paying attention to the arising and passing away of sensations in the body. We aren't just noticing them, but we're specifically noticing how transient they are. We can be so afraid of our own feelings because we don't realize how quickly they change. Tension, fear, sadness, and anger. They aren't nearly as intimidating once we realize how quickly they can come and go. Through all of these practices and throughout this entire training, we're developing our true presence. This presence contains the joy that comes from being in touch with the miracles of life. It contains the peace that comes from being truly grounded in the present moment, without grasping or aversion. And it contains the love that comes from seeing the suffering and the beauty in ourselves and in all beings.